It seems like just about every season, quite literally, I discover a bit of a routine for that season of life that seems to work really, really well. And so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you kind of how our typical day has been looking lately, mainly because it's been so incredibly hot. And being 30 or 31 weeks pregnant, I have a lot harder time with the heat. And so I've kind of had to change a lot of the ways that I run my day because of that. So I'm excited to share with you kind of how our routine is looking at the moment and kind of how I would expect it to continue to look until the baby comes in early September. So with all that being said, let's jump into how our mornings typically get started right now. So with my husband's work, he works for 48 hours straight as a fireman, and then he has 4 days off. And so on those days off, we usually start our day in between 6 or 7. And this is really the first routine that I love. Just getting up earlier is so nice. So usually my husband will get up a few minutes before I will. And then usually when I get up, I'm the one that makes the bed because I was the last one in it. But sometimes my husband will come back upstairs to get dressed or whatever, and he'll make the bed with me. During this time, I like to get dressed having a general sense of what I'm going to be doing that day, because I've found for some strange reason that if I get dressed and then I'm in somewhat of a nicer outfit, which is rare, and then I realize that I need to work out in the garden most of the day, for some reason just the extra work it takes to actually change makes me put off going to the garden, or vice versa if I need to go to town or whatever. So I like to kind of have that in mind when I first get started during the day. I don't know about all couples, but I know with my husband and I, he can wake up and almost instantly be wide awake and ready for the day. And it takes me a good few minutes, even now as a mom, it takes me a good few minutes to actually wake up enough to utter a sentence. So my husband lately has been making me coffee in the morning, which is super sweet. And so I really look forward to this time every single day. Also, because the mornings are basically the only really nice time of the day, that and really late in the evenings, he has been going outside into our garden to do his Bible every morning, which is super fun because now I take along, and this is kind of my early morning weeding session in the garden, which has been working out really, really well because it is too hot in the middle of the day for me to get much done in the garden. And it's so nice when 3 o'clock strikes and it's 100 degrees outside to know I've already been out in the garden for an hour, and so I don't have to go out today unless I actually have the time and unless I don't melt in the process. And so while my husband does his Bible out in the garden, I will spend about an hour weeding, and this is such a wonderful time in the morning. I really look forward to it now just because it's so beautiful and it's so quiet and it's so peaceful, and it's so nice knowing when I come inside that I've already gotten garden work done. Also, this works out really well for me because I struggle sometimes with not just falling back asleep when I do my Bible when I first get up. And so having a good hour to wake up and think and process and enjoy being with my husband, enjoy being outside before I sit down for a period of time is really, really beneficial with just staying awake and being more alert when I do my Bible, which is usually later in the morning now. This is a wonderful routine. I absolutely love it. So this next part of our day varies a little bit because if I'm going into town in the morning, then usually I'll just make my husband a lunch after he leaves and then drop it by our remodel project house on my way into town. But other times, if I'm not going into town that day, then I will just make him a lunch and he'll take it with him before he leaves. And so that was the case for today. After my husband has left, that is usually around the time that our daughter will wake up. And so Usually she wakes up kind of slowly, and if I give her a bottle and a book, she'll just kind of lay around on the sofa for a little while, and it still gives me plenty of time to finish up doing my Bible and making my to-do list, which is kind of the very next thing I move on to. If you all are new here, then you might not know, but I am a huge fan of to-do lists, and I make them every single day. It's funny, lately I've been really trying to observe what causes me to feel overwhelmed or stressed, and I have found that probably 98% of the times I am stressed or overwhelmed, it's because I failed to plan out my day correctly, or something came up that I wasn't anticipating and I wasn't able to plan into my day. And so I've been trying, because I feel like lately our lives have been so busy, and it's easy for me to fall into the trap of just feeling really overwhelmed and overloaded, that I found it so helpful if I just know at the start of the day exactly what's going on, and I write it all out, and I keep a list on my fridge of any appointments that I have going on, that my day just goes so much more smoothly. And I've been honestly really surprised at this very small amount of stress that I've had this summer in comparison to times in the past. And I think mainly it is because I've really tried to up my game with just planning every detail of my day early on. It really helps. Just a quick side note, my husband's aunt gave me this prayer journal, and I absolutely love it. It is so good. Okay, so after I've kind of brain dumped my to-do list and I've done my Bible, the next thing usually that I'll do is just get ready for the day. And so this usually involves putting on a little bit of makeup, doing my hair, and then I usually do all this in my daughter's room. And so at the same time, I will get her ready for the day, and also I try to pick up her room. And so when we leave her room, we're all completely ready for the day, and her room is cleaned up, which is really nice. So when my husband leaves for the remodel on his days off, I usually have from about 9 a.m. to maybe 4 or 5 p.m. that I try and fit in anything that I need to get done that's either house related or related to a project that I'm working on, or the garden, or maybe it's grocery shopping, running errands, midwife's appointments, those type of things. And so this is when I try to fit those type of things in. And so usually one of the very next things I try to do every single day, no matter the season, is to do a load of laundry. And I found if I can do one load a day from start to finish, I can keep up fairly well. And I love trying to involve my daughter in the work that we're doing. And so one of her tasks that she has to do every single day is bring all the laundry from the dryer into the living room so that I can fold it. And then usually when I fold it, she's in charge of putting at least part of it away, which is so nice. And yes, it does make my kitchen cabinets not that organized, but it gives her a task and it makes her feel very important, and she actually does a really good job. So I like involving her. It's really fun. The next thing I always focus on, no matter the season, is keeping up with the dishes. And so usually in the morning, I'll do a load of any breakfast dishes, any dishes from the night before that maybe didn't fit in the dishwasher. And this is the second task that Carrie probably 90% of the time helps me with. And she loves helping, and it's really fun doing it together. And so I've actually just had her start also trying to put the silverware away after we're done unloading the dishwasher, and she's gotten pretty good at it, but she is very slow, which is actually pretty nice because it keeps her focused on one task for a very long time, which I am all for. So one of the things that drives me crazy is having dirt on the floor. And so I try and sweep at least once a day in the main part of our house, which is actually a really big blessing having a small house because it's really not that much sweeping. It probably takes me about 10 minutes to do the living room and the kitchen, which is really, really nice. But that greatly helps me not feel like the house is too messy, even if it's not perfectly clean. So I try and do it every single day. So the housework is done. If I can endure the heat, I will try to go back outside in the early afternoon and do more weeding or picking or whatever needs to be done. But between the housework and taking care of Carrie and grocery shopping, running errands, having appointments, and trying to fit in whatever type of content creating I'm working on, I stay pretty busy. This is a pretty busy but wonderful time of the day. However, something that I've been starting to do around 3 or 4 probably is I'll start doing all the meal prepping for dinner. And that's cut down a lot on the stress of just all of a sudden having to load up and leave the house a mess and really not do good at the homemaking part of the task. And so I will start meal prepping. I actually started meal prepping a bit on Sundays as well, and that's been really, really helpful. So this last Sunday, I meal prepped. I made a loaf of bread, I cooked up a whole chicken, and I washed up a whole bunch of salad greens, and that's made this week's meals a lot easier and has really just made the day very enjoyable and feel like it runs pretty smoothly, which is really, really nice. So I think this is because I'm nearing the end of my pregnancy, and I'm sure you're probably noticing, but I am just kind of in this mental space right now of trying to figure out what type of systems and habits can I have in place right now that I can start to build right now so that once I have a second baby, my life doesn't just totally go to pot, because I know it's so hard to figure out systems that work well as you add kids to your life. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, just trying to figure out what can I do to cut down on the stress when we have a second baby and to just avoid as much of the overwhelm as is possible. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted because I know some of it is just unavoidable. It's just the growing pains of your family expanding. So that is kind of what I've been doing a lot lately, though, even with meal planning and prepping and kind of preparing things in advance and really trying to plan out my days, just because as much as possible, I do want to keep a somewhat stress-free life and environment in my home. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so now it's around 4 or 5 based on the heat, which kind of determines when we leave. And my daughter and I head over to the remodel, and it's nice. It's only about a 10-minute drive. And my goal, if I've done my job well, is to have left the house hopefully in somewhat decent order, to have had the dishes somewhat caught up, and to have dinner with us so we can all eat together as we work. So my husband has spent the entire day here in the heat. He is extremely impressive. I do not actually know how he can physically endure, but we get the blessing of being able to work when it's cool, which is really nice. So lately, based on the heat, we will get here between probably 5 or 6, and we'll stay until 9:30 to 10:30. And once it's so dark, we can't see what we're doing anymore. And usually by the time we're ready to go, Carrie's kind of having a meltdown, we will pack up and head home. But this is just actually a really fun time. I look forward to these evenings together. They're so much fun being together as a family, and we'll sit down and we'll all eat together, and we'll turn on John Denver or some old country music and listen to it, or we'll listen to a podcast, and we'll just all be kind of doing our thing. And it's so fun, and it's like heavenly in the evening. The weather is just beautiful, and from our property you can actually see the sunset somewhat well, and so it's just really, really fun, and I love these times together. So once we kind of call it a night, we pack up and we go home, and the very first thing I do, and I didn't really film all this because we're all exhausted and tired and just want to go to bed, is I kind of give Carrie a sponge bath and brush her teeth and make her a bottle and put her directly in bed, and she is thrilled. And then if I'm feeling very inspired still, I will wash the dishes from dinner. But if I'm not, I will just put them in the sink with some water and let them set until the next day. And also, I at least try to pick up the house a little bit so it's not a disaster in the morning. And then I will make tea, or we'll just climb into the bathtub because we are so filthy by this time and so disgusting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that pretty much wraps up our entire day routine and what I think will probably kind of continue to be our routine through the rest of the summer. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully see you next weekend in my next video. So stay tuned. Bye.